Hello, this is Don Hall. This is at Don Hall Works YouTube channel. In this channel we do a lot of how-to ceramic videos. Halloween's coming up, so it is perfect time to get started on something like this. This plate, I fired it Raku style because I like the crackle on it, and it kind of gives it kind of a creepy feeling. But you can certainly do this in any firing style that you want. Anything from cone 6, 06 oxidation, all the way up cone 10 reduction, doesn't matter. The basic technique is going to be all the same. You can decide how you want to fire it yourself. All right, let's get started. Because I'm going to fire this Raku style, I need to alter my clay a little bit. Normally I just use regular stoneware clay for everything I do. When I Raku, I like to add a little bit of grog to it. And so for Raku, what I always do is I have a bucket of recycled clay that I throw in the bucket and add water to it and just let it sit there. And then when I need it, I take some out, put it on my plaster table, and add a little bit of grog to it. That's what I have here. I have some grog in here, and I'm just going to sprinkle some of it on the top here. This is not scientific, it's Raku. So I just throw some grog in, that's about all I need to do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let that sit there for a little bit, let the plaster suck up some of the water, and then I'm going to just wedge it up real good and then make it into a slab. This clay's been drying out now for about half an hour or so. So I'm just going to real quick give it a roll it around in there, pick up all the loose grog. All right, this is pretty good. I think it's ready to get rolled out into a slab to make some plates. I think I can get a couple out of here anyway. Maybe 3 if I'm lucky, but I'm sure there's enough for 2. The clay is ready now for the slab roller. I've set it at 3/8 of an inch. You can do this just as well with a rolling pin. You can roll it out between a couple of slats so that you can get it to about 3/8 of an inch. I like to use my slab roller, and what I have here is a old apple bag, I think it is, because I want to have a texture on the back side of it. When I Raku, I like it to give it a little feeling of rough on the bottom. There it is. Looks like I can get at least 2 out of there. I'm going to cut the plates out now. I have a piece of plywood that is cut to the same size as I want the plates to be. So, cut this out. And I think I actually have enough clay left here to go ahead and mush it back up and roll it through the slab roller and make one more, at least one more. So this is what it's done there. They have that texture on the bottom, and this is going to be the top of the plate. They're pretty soft and pliable right now. I'm going to let those dry out a little bit first. All right, the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to make this flat plate turn it into a bowl shape. And for that, I've got a piece of memory foam here. It's real soft. And what I did is I made this one, I carved it out sprig mold for this, fired it in the kiln, I just threw it in with a bisque fire, and then I took that and I put it into another piece of clay, pressed it down, and made exactly the opposite shape. And now I can make the skeleton in the plate. So I put this in the middle here, as close as I can to the middle, and I gently press down, sort of rock it around, and that gives the plate a little curve to it. Now, in order to get the more detail in the plate, I put it on the hard surface for the last little bit and press it down. There. These little press molds, or sprig molds as they're sometimes called, are really a lot of fun. And there's an earlier video on my channel called Pottery Press Mold Decoration. Pamela Quile, who's really an expert on this, goes through it in quite some detail if you'd like to learn how to do this process. Well, through the magic of video, I have now bisque fired my plates, and I'm putting a clear glaze on it. This clay I'm using is very bright white, and so where I'm putting the glaze, it's clear, it's going to show the black, it's going to contrast the black of the piece. And this glaze is really one of the very first ever glazes developed for Raku, and a fellow named Paul Soldner developed this. It's called 80-20. It's only has two ingredients: 80% Gerstley borate and 20% nepheline cyanide. And this is my go-to white Raku glaze. It is real consistent, always seems to work, and you can make this glaze yourself for pennies on the dollar compared to what it would cost you to buy a clear white glaze already mixed up. You can look into that, because all you need to do is buy some Gerstley borate and some nepheline cyanide, and you can have a lifetime supply for just a couple of dollars. This is really the only tricky part, is because you have to be very careful. You can see I'm using a very small brush and very carefully painting what I want to be white so that the skull ends up looking like that. Now, to do the outside, I just splatter some of the same glaze around the outside, like so. And remove this. There you go. That's basically how you make it, how you glaze it. Well, if you enjoyed this video, hope you can tell a friend, or think about subscribing to my channel. There's several other videos on my channel about Raku, and you can watch the firing process. It's basically doing this is basically the simple process of getting it hot in the kiln, putting it in a reduction with some sawdust or some newspaper, and there you go, right? Thank you.